Right, welcome back to you. So, Russian runner Alexandra Morozova will race at the Comrades Marathon. After all, she had been excluded by Comrades Marathon organisers who were guided by Athletics South Africa on the matter. Now, ASA said they had acted on a recommendation from World Athletics, but a Pietermaritzburg High Court judge has ordered that Morozova be allowed to race tomorrow. Joining us via Zoom to discuss the matter is her attorney, Mark Leathers, and of course he is part of her legal team. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking to us again. Just for those less familiar with this matter, what were the reasons put forward for your client Alexandra Morozova's initial exclusion from the race? And also, do you know if it was an actual recommendation, as in it was an actual board resolution, or was it just a suggestion put forward that she be excluded?
Thank you very much for talking to me. Just to summarize, the reasons for her initial exclusion were Comrades Marathon Association wanting to show unity and solidarity with the people of Ukraine. That view arises from a World Athletics Council resolution taken back in March of 2022 and a subsequent letter written by World Athletics to Athletics South Africa, wherein they, quote, recommend and request member associations to follow suit. Comrades Marathon Association cited that request from World Athletics as the basis which gave rise to a decision of the Comrades Marathon Association board, wherein they said they took into account a number of other issues as well, and that led to the decision that they arrived. As regards to the court action this morning, we are both humbled and naturally overjoyed that the court came to what was, in our opinion, definitely the correct decision. And it has definitely reaffirmed our faith in the fact that South Africa has got a judicial system that does work.
So on that note, Mark, I mean, for the fact that you appeared on a Saturday, and I guess the race is tomorrow, I assume that your client, or on behalf of your client, you would have put in an urgent application at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. So we understand that KZN Athletics opposed Morozova's application to be reinstated back in the race. What was their argument? I'm not sure if you were there or if the advocate was there, but from your legal team, can you give us a summary of what KZN Athletics' argument was on the opposal to the urgent application that you put in for your client?
Well, firstly, you are correct. There was an urgent application issued out of Pietermaritzburg yesterday, and I was actually in Pietermaritzburg yesterday and today. The application was not against KZN Athletics. It was against the Comrades Marathon Association, who is the body that actually took the decision to initially remove Morozova from the race. The reasons put forward by the Comrades Marathon Association essentially go to a number of things. They say that their board meeting at which they took the decision was predicated on the request from World Athletics. But at that meeting, they took into account a number of issues, including the fact that parties had spent a lot of money to get to South Africa, that had been training, and also the fact that they felt that taking that decision at the time was the only way in which they, as Comrades Marathon Association, could be seen to be showing solidarity with the people in Ukraine.
And from your side, did it ever perhaps then come up that whilst it might seem that, Comrades is taking solidarity with the people of Ukraine, that individuals are now being placed in a position where they are prejudiced due to decisions made by, Russia?
Well, that was exactly the argument we made. And we said that to simply punish somebody because of their nationality is strikingly resemblant of a number of other discriminatory atrocities that we've seen in world history. And the court thankfully saw wisdom and reached the correct decision of saying that there was no reasonable and justified basis for the discrimination against Morozova. And following the court decision, in fact, the Comrades Marathon Association did take the admirable stance of actually reversing a further decision they had taken, and that was for 31 other Russian athletes to have to start initially from Cluster H tomorrow. That decision has now been reversed, and all the Russian athletes are now being permitted to start from the clusters in which they were initially placed.
So, Mark, very quickly before you go, we are running out of time, so I'm going to ask you two questions in one. Do you see this ruling setting a precedent for other sporting events? I mean, across the world, when the war between Ukraine and Russia started, there were very many Russians as well as Belarusians who were advised that they can no longer participate in events. So with a ruling that we've now seen with the judge in the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, with him making that type of ruling, in terms of it now being a prejudice towards another individual. Do you think we can see more of those coming through and then more Russians participating? And over and above that, of course, Morozova was tipped as one of the main contenders in the women's race. I'm sure she's excited that she can participate. But with this little stumbling block that you've had now, how does she feel? Is she excited? Is she still, in good spirits?
Well, firstly, to answer your other question, obviously, there are lawful ways of certain suspensions and bans being put in place by various world bodies and various courts and countries. So with regards to whether or not there could be any further such rulings, yes, there may well be if those specific requirements from country to country are not met. I think the message that was sent today was that one thing the South African courts will not tolerate is unjustified or unreasonable discrimination. As regards Alexandra's spirits for tomorrow, I saw her this morning at 5:30 to sign her final affidavits, and she was naturally stressed at that time. But when I spoke with her after the court ruling, she was absolutely overjoyed and thrilled that she can now just focus on going and running her best possible race tomorrow.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. We're going to have to leave it there for now. And as a person in sport, congratulations to you and your team also on, managing to get her back in doing what she loves and what is her passion. We're going to